Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Sigrid Shalsita. I'm CEO of APREA, and I'm actually dialing in here from Singapore. I'm delighted to welcome all of our guests, especially from the different parts of Asia and those who have joined us behind Asia. Thank you so much for being with us today. At APREA, we remain committed to advancing sustainability across the industry. Our goal is not just to share knowledge, but also to help guide investors and practitioners as they navigate an increasingly complex investment landscape. Now, we are especially excited about today's session because it addresses an important question. How can building certification go simply beyond checking the compliance box to actually deliver measurable business value? In a world where capital is increasingly flowing towards sustainable assets, certified buildings are emerging as a real competitive advantage. They're not only performing better in terms of energy and operational efficiency, but they're also helping owners and managers meet the mandates of investors who are prioritizing sustainability in their investment decisions. Now, this is very much aligned with APRIA's mission to empower our members with the practical tools that they need in their businesses. Now, before we begin, I would like to take this opportunity to invite all of you to join us at the Asia Pacific Real Assets Leaders Congress, which will take place on October 8th to 10th in Singapore. This is our flagship conference and the highlight of APRIA's 20th anniversary celebration. We look forward to welcoming you here.
So sorry, I think Sigrid, you were unmuted. If you can maybe go to
Okay.
the BOMA part. Sorry about that.
Okay, no worries. Anyway, I would like to thank BOMA for collaborating with us on today's program, as well as our esteemed speakers for sharing their time with us. I know their perspectives will help all of us think more critically about the business case for certification and sustainability. I hope you find today's webinar insightful. And with that, I would like to hand this over to Benjamin Scheinwald, President and CEO of BOMA Canada. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sigrid. It's a really huge pleasure and honor for me to join APREA today on this important webinar. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening from Toronto. I'm not going to speak for very long, but I just want to make some opening remarks. And first of all, thank APREA, Sigrid, Rodrigo, and the team there. You guys have really rolled out the red carpet for us since we met in Florida a few months ago, and we're really building a wonderful partnership that's warm and directed at driving value to our collective members or our respective members. And I want to celebrate that and express my gratitude and our gratitude for all you're doing in this regard, and we want to repay you as well. Sigrid, you mentioned a moment ago APREA's Leaders Congress for its 20th anniversary. I'm really honored to have been invited, and I'll be speaking on panel 7, ESG in the hot seat. It'll be my first time at your conference, my first time actually in Singapore. And so the guests on the webinar today are going to learn a little bit about the program that we offer, BOMA Best, and I'll be presenting on that. And I just encourage you, please, to come and join that session and find me at the conference if you want to learn more about yes. I can't hear you. I'm so sorry if you're talking to me. I'll just continue on. Pardon me. So please do, find me in Singapore because we're really excited about BOMA Best's expansion into Southeast Asia, which you'll learn a little bit about today. Finally, just to sort of say, I am the CEO, President and CEO of BOMA Canada, the Building Owners and Managers Association of Canada. And in partnership with our sort of cousins at BOMA International, we are expanding BOMA Best around the world. And that's really why we're here today. So without further ado, I'll pass the mic over to my colleague, Joanna Sugunathasan, to begin the presentation of the actual topic today. Thank you so much, and see you soon at APREA's 20th anniversary conference in Singapore.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Benjamin. And I'm going to take a moment right now just to share my screen. We'll run through a few slides, and then we'll get into a panel discussion with our wonderful speakers. Awesome. So hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're really excited to share with you all about what BOMA Best is and how it can be used as a roadmap to sustainable operations and building long-term value. So globally, the real estate market is definitely at a turning point. ESG pressures and regulatory requirements are intensifying, and at the same time, vacancy rates remain pretty high in many areas, and owners are under a lot of pressure to stand out. C-suite leaders are asking, how do we prove our buildings are truly performing? And this is where certification can play a critical role. It provides the structure, credibility, and the operational proof that today's market demands. As regulation and industry trends align to ensure a more sustainable and risk-proof future, certifications are here bridging the gap and providing a roadmap for building owners and managers to ensure that they're in compliance and operating efficiently. BOMA Best is an internationally recognized building certification program, but more than just a badge or a label, it's a management tool. It equips building owners and managers and operators with what they need to optimize performance and increase efficiency and strengthen resilience. It was designed in response to the industry's need for a tool that enables education, accurate data tracking and reporting, better operational performance, and ultimately higher valued assets. The business case is pretty clear. Sustainable buildings deliver better financial results. BOMA Best buildings see on average an 8% increase in tenant income, a 23% increase in or higher occupancy rate, and a 13% higher resale value. In other words, sustainability isn't just good for the planet, but it's good for business. What really sets BOMA Best apart is the measured results that we can point to. For energy, certified office buildings have saved enough power to power over 17,000 homes. That's about 64 cents per square foot in energy cost savings. For water, they've saved the equivalent of 3 billion bottles of water. That's 9 cents per square foot in water cost savings. And on carbon, BOMA Best buildings have prevented 27,000 tons of greenhouse gas emissions. That's the same as taking over 8,000 cars off the road for a year or planting 900,000 trees. Since 2008, office buildings in our program have actually cut their emissions by 84%. So these are real verifiable impacts that we're seeing from users in our program. BOMA Best has scaled globally. Though it started originally in Canada, now more than 4,300 properties worldwide are certified, covering over 1 billion square feet. The program is active across 5 continents and 14 countries, proving that it works in many markets, climates, and asset types. These are some of our users between owners and managers that some of them you may recognize that are part of our program. So diving into our key product here, BOMA Best Sustainable, it's really a roadmap to saving money, reducing energy use and related costs, being able to retrofit for accessibility and equity, reducing water usage, reducing waste, and navigating climate risk and resilience. So how do we get there? BOMA Best is really a roadmap that looks holistically at building performance. Often you'll see different certifications that kind of target some of these focus areas and not others, but BOMA Best is really designed to be an all-in-one roadmap for holistic building operations. So it addresses energy and carbon, water, indoor air quality and hazards, accessibility and wellness, waste and custodial practices, and climate resilience. It's not about one-off upgrades. BOMA Best is really designed to be a roadmap addressing, policies, programs, and operational procedures within buildings, and giving owners and operators a clear and practical roadmap to reducing costs and improving efficiency. It's been designed intentionally to be achievable. So often buildings that will register in the program will often start at a baseline level, meeting core practices, ensuring that those baseline procedures, policies, programs are really in place to ensure operational efficiency. And from there, they have the roadmap that they need through our questionnaire to understand what are the capital upgrades? What are the improvements that we can make to our building, from low-hanging fruit to more higher cost upgrades that they can implement in their buildings to later, when they go to recertify, achieve higher levels of certification like bronze, silver, gold, and up to platinum. So as part of the BOMA Best program, we don't want to simply be a checkbox kind of program or one where it's just completely done online. We do really value third-party verification. And so every building is verified by a qualified third-party professional. This really ensures credibility and trust in the results. And most importantly, for all buildings, we do remote and in-person verifications. And in terms of buildings that participate in our program, there is no building too old or too small to get started. In our program, we are very accessible in terms of asset classes. So everything from office to industrial to retail, multifamily, healthcare, and universal buildings. We've seen all types of buildings get certified, everything from high-rise offices to even prisons, aquariums, and iconic landmarks like the CN Tower in Toronto. And our oldest building actually was built in 1832. So there are very low barriers to entry as far as asset class goes when it comes to BOMA Best. We also offer a lot of flexibility in terms of streams. So there is a single stream, which is great for if you're, putting one or two buildings through the program. And if you have 5 or more buildings, we recommend the portfolio stream, or in other words, our volume program, which tends to be a popular option amongst larger portfolios because of the ability to certify on a continuous basis. This really makes it scalable for owners who are managing multiple assets. As a recap, what makes BOMA Best unique? First of all, it is a cost-effective certification program relative to others. It is internationally recognized by the industry, by investors, and financial institutions, and benchmarks like GRESB. It allows for a true portfolio approach through our volume program. It applies to virtually all commercial buildings and asset classes. And finally, we're really proud that it doubles as an educational tool for property managers, helping teams learn while they go through the process of certification. Often, you'll see with certifications, consultants are very key to the process, and BOMA Best has been intentionally designed for property management teams, building operators, to be able to do the process themselves, at least at a baseline level. With the option to bring in consultants as needed, or where needed when going for higher levels of certification. Ultimately, the message here is that every building has potential to see long-term value through certification like BOMA Best. Even older assets see improvement. 42% of recertified office buildings in our program have reported lower energy use intensity, and 70% have reported improved or have improved or maintained their waste diversion rate. So ultimately, it's when it comes to the results, not only is it quantifiable, but you'll see cost savings over time, and that's what our users have reported back to us that we're really proud about. And the program is really about continuous improvement over time. So if you are interested in BOMA Best, you can go to bomabest.org for more information. And ultimately, the commercial real estate market is under increasing pressure to perform, and differentiation is more important now than ever. And BOMA Best is a clear roadmap to be able to lower costs and strengthen ESG reporting and increase asset value. So if you are interested, you can check out our website for more information about what is in our questionnaire and our program policies and more. So that's pretty much it for our overview of the BOMA Best program. Now I'd like to introduce some of the champions of our program in our industry to share their perspective on the value of the tool. So I will stop sharing my screen here. Please welcome Nisha Agarwal, Vice President of Sustainability at Quadrille Property Group, as well as Dominic Lau, Executive Director of BOMA China. Nisha and Dominic, thank you so much for being here today.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me to share our experience.
Yeah, thank you so much, Joanna, BOMA Canada, APREA, BOMA International. Very much looking forward to today's conversation.
Awesome. So, Dominic, I'd love to start our conversation off with you. You have seen kind of the trajectory of BOMA Best, raising awareness about it in China, and it would be great if you could share a little bit about the journey of BOMA Best in your market.
All right, okay. We go way back, to 2013 when we started initially contacted by BOMA Canada regarding BOMA Best, the program at that time, and it took us about 6 years, 2019, before we brought it into China officially. The reason is because we were trying to China. We need to translate a lot of the basic resources because English is not the primary language. So our challenge was to make sure we get all the resources or ducks together before we really launch the program. So 2019 was the real launch year, and then of course we all know what happened in 2020 when it happens. Right after we launched it, half a year later we get COVID, and it kind of took us back a bit. But nevertheless, we pushed forward, with this whole program. It gave us time to actually to get used to this program, and then as these programs start moving forward to upgrade, which is a great from 3.0 to 4.0 now, is a great upgrade in terms of helping our members and building owners to better improve the assets. And we are happy to report that we have our first platinum building in China, certified in August, early August, just a few weeks ago. So I can certainly happy to share that experience with everyone. Okay, so let me share my screen here just to go through our experience. Everybody sees it?
Yes, we can see it.
Great. Now I just need to get it full screen. Oops. Got it wrong. I'm not doing it right here. Oops. All right, I'm not. Yeah. There we go.
Perfect.
How are we doing here? Okay, good. All right. I'm a newbie on this Zoom. Okay. As you can see, Shanghai Costco shipping building, Costco, I think everybody's familiar with that logo. That's a container company, one of the largest shipping company, state-owned enterprise. They have a building. This building is it's about 31,465 square meter. So 300,000, roughly 300,000 square feet. Height with about 100 meter. So this building is interesting as follow through by what Joanna was saying earlier. No building is too old. This building actually was built 30 years ago. Okay, it was retrofit completely and put back into after a major retrofit completed in 2023, just 2 years ago, right, roughly a year and a half. So this building is a good example, okay, of an old building, right, 30 years old building, completely retrofitted, and then still can attain, the highest BOMA Best 4.1 platinum certification. But it's a process, right? As you can see in the bottom there, May 2024 is when actually Costco decided, okay, we looked at, we examined the BOMA Best program, and we think it's best fit to us. And I must add that, at that point, the key focus for Costco, right, the main primary objective for them it's not the certification. Actually, the primary objective is to build the process, to make sure that they have a management process that is international standard, number one. And number two, based on that standard, they can actually build a team, a management team, okay, that can continue the whole sustainability initiative, okay, for the long run. So this is the fundamental objective of Costco team. So they started joining in 2024. So they have done a lot of due diligence, and meet with some of our other buildings management, and then so they decided to do it. And after that, in July 2024, they decided, okay, we're gonna commit to the certification kickoff process. Okay, and it took them to August 2024. They have 20 members, a property management team and suppliers management on site. So they had to do an assessment, and we helped them to assess the knowledge towards sustainability. In China, it's still relatively new for our members here, okay, in terms of sustainability, ESG. So we have to have a customized or tailored training program for them to ensure that the whole team, the 20 members, property management and supplier management team, has the complete understanding, right, of what they are driving for. Because again, I emphasize that the objective of Costco is to build their process and build the team. Okay, so we have to both go through, help them with the whole training program to be in place. And of course, throughout the whole process, after that, October 2024 to July 2025, that's where they initiated third-party audits, such as energy, water, waste, IAQ, resilience, accessibility management. So and then they completed several renovations, right? Waste management area, they upgraded BAS central control system, the lighting system, that they make it more interactive, and accessibility update. They install accessibility door, automated doors in the front, and as well as washrooms. Okay, so and updated all the standardized signage and stations and so on and so forth. So they have really used this building as their model, if you like. As you know, Costco is a huge company. They have more than one building. This is the test spot building. Okay, so they really have committed significant investment, both in hardware and both in training and development process, right, and developing the team. Okay, so finally in July 2025, then we have the on-site audit, right? That is also supported by an auditor, a verifier from Canada, to jointly, right? One on-site, a local verifier, and one verifier from Canada, online, right, to jointly certify the building. So the result was in August. You know, this building received the 4.1 certification, which is the first platinum building, I believe, in Asia. Okay, not just in China. You know, and I asked for that data from Benjamin, and he was kind to share that. So this is a significant, you know, achievement for a 30 years old building. And secondly, of course, well, let's talk about some of the, you know, what they have achieved, right? Actually, this building, even though it's 30 years old, it achieved a 91% Energy Star score, okay, which is very amazing, right, for a whole building like this. And the energy side, you can see, right, they saved about 29%. The EUI, sorry, dropped by 29%. You know, and from water, you know, water use intensity also reduced by 22%. And the waste, you know, they actually reduced waste reduction from the source, right, by inducing a lot of you know, policies, right, that actually reduce waste. For instance, no takeout day, right, that, you know, in buildings, right, takeout is a common behavior in China, where everybody just order takeout. So there's no takeout day means, you know, cut down from outside source of waste coming into the building. And they also chose I read an interesting situation whereby they chose they have a choice between two coffee shops in the building. Okay, one is Starbucks, one is a local company called Manor. Okay, and they found out that the Manor is more environmentally friendly because they encourage everybody to use reusable cups, coffee cups, rather than, you know, just automatically give everybody a paper cup or plastic cup. So they decided to sign the lease with Manor rather than Starbucks, right, based on the environmental policy. So this is, you know, this what is illustration of what, you know, BOMA Best is. Info is actually penetrated the whole policy, right, process in the company. And lastly, of course, the IAQ. The IAQ, they have done all the testing according to international standard, including CO, CO2, TVOC, so on and so forth. So this building is definitely, you know, going according to international standard. And I can talk about the challenges they face. I mean, that's not without some challenges. You know, being the first one, if you like, you know, to take this leap, okay, in China. Of course, the last slide I just want to share is what I talked about earlier. You know, the training that, you know, we felt that we need to do to support them in order to get to this result, right? Because ultimately sustainability is really based on knowledge, right, of the team, management team. So they have to, you know, it's important that they have a complete understanding of why they're doing it, right? Not just what they're doing it and how they're doing it. Why it's important. So that's just what we took 6 years or so to develop all these training, if you like, to support them. And because earlier, you know, at that time, you know, BOMA Best didn't have as much resources as they have now. Okay, back in the 2013 days, right, to 2019. So we have to do a lot of these, you know, do the heavy lifting ourselves and do a lot of these translations or developing courses. So this is vital that we know that this is support our members need in order to meet, you know, the objective. And sustainability is really based on how much knowledge we can transfer to our members. So, you know, that's our experience.
Awesome. Thanks, Dominic, for sharing that incredible story of the building that got platinum. I think it's really incredible to see. So what would you say are some of the regulatory and ESG reporting expectations in China and the larger Asia Pacific market?
Well, I can't speak too much on the larger Asia specific market. I think that, you know, APREA is probably more, you know, authority, more in tune with Japan and Singapore. What I know is that looking at the CBRE report, the recent report on REITs in Asia Pacific, I think the leading REITs listing is in Japan. I think in overall in Asia, and the second is Singapore. Okay, third one, you know, is China. Okay, And it sounds like China is not too far behind, but if you look at the ratio, again, the percentages of REITs that China share, right, of the whole Asia Pacific percentage is only 9.1% according to CBIE. Okay, so although China have all these assets, but the share of China and REITs is only 9.1%, compared to, I think, um, Japan and Singapore, right, add together is I think surpass 50% together, right, and the rest, of course, the rest of the Hong Kong, India behind, a little bit behind. So this is the kind of the structure, and of course, REITs have a lot of impact, okay, on ESG, okay, implementation requirement, right, because it is a requirement. If you're publicly listed, you are required to file ESG report. You are required to file resilience, assessment and TCFD, okay, the Task Force on Climate Change Financial Disclosure. These are all requirements. Okay. However, having said that, the non-public side, Chinese government is since the post-COVID, right, last year, it's been really actively pushing and promoting the need to for all the state-owned enterprises to do ESG. Okay. And so this is definitely a major movement now, and it's gaining momentum in China. Okay, for pretty well all the SOEs, and that's one of the reasons why Costco is doing it, because Costco is SOE. Okay, so they are doing this because they are laying the groundwork for ESG, right, reporting. Okay, because BOMA Best, for all the audience, to make it simple, is a BOMA Best differ from other certification in just one simple area. Just BOMA Best is a management quality assurance certification. Okay, it gives if you're an investor sitting in India or sitting in New York, okay, you have buildings all over in India or Shanghai or in Tokyo or in Singapore, you want to know, right, your building is in good hands, right? So other certification focuses mainly in the either on the hardware or tenant comfort, right, requirement or benchmarking, okay, but there's no management assurance certification. Okay, BOMA is that missing piece, okay, for a lot of people. So for investors, that's an important piece that everybody should be, should understand. The BOMA Best bring a different perspective, right, a different assurance, right, for investors, and ultimately, that's management is the fundamental for ESG and sustainability. Okay. So China, in a nutshell, is Chinese government is requiring SOEs to do ESG forward. Okay. So right now is the challenge is for these SOE to really understand how to do it. Right now, they know they have to do it. Now, how do you do it? How do you provide the data? How do you get the data to support the ESG report, right? This is where BOMA Best again come in, right? Where all the programs, right, would ensure that you're based on solid management programs at the property level, okay, at the property level, so that the information coming up, right, from the property level is accurate and reliable, so that ultimately they end up in your ESG report is that your investment community can trust. Okay, so this is the important point.
That's awesome. I really like that you touched, Dominic, you touched on the reporting aspect, and also how property management teams really play a critical role in accurate reporting. So can you talk a little bit more about how BOMA Best is a critical tool, how it can be leveraged as a foundation for better operations and better reporting?
Okay. It is a fundamental, right, in the asset level, at the property level, right? Is BOMA Best helps really is a roadmap for at the asset level, at the building level. You like to how do you manage your building, right? What do you need to do to get the data? Or for instance, right, BOMA Best is the baseline, right, requirement for IAQ audit, right, water audit, waste audit, right, energy audit, so on and so forth. These are all baselining, right, your building's performance, right? So these are actually in effect helping the building, build your baseline data, right, to accrue your baseline data. A lot of times when I talk to a green certified building, the first question I ask is that, have you done an energy audit, right? And surprisingly, a lot of them say no, we haven't. And I couldn't. So that's a disconnect, right? How could you have a green certified building you haven't even done the energy audit, right? Because the energy audit is your baseline, right? You have to. You got to know where your current situation is before you can plan forward to say, how I'm going to save energy, right? So this is why BOMA Best comes in really strong. I have a lot of direction, right, helping building to assert the baseline, right, so that they can start planning ahead, right? How do I improve my energy? How do I improve my water and waste, right, usage, so on and so forth. Does it answer your question?
I think so, for sure. I think you really touched on how BOMA Best, eliminates that disconnect between, property management teams and operations going all the way up to the investor level and reporting. So that's very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, I may want to add one more thing, because of my experience in China, BOMA China has been around since 2009. 2009, it's about 16 years now. And as everybody aware, China has gone through a very rapid growth pace, speed, period, over the last 20 years. And I think a lot of the market in Asia, right, a lot of them are also experiencing, it's going to experience the same trajectory, right, a fast growth. Okay, so they're going to need guidelines, they're going to need help, okay, to set the operation, right, the ongoing sustainable, right, practices. So especially in Asia, right, I think is timely is to understand, right, now, right, when your asset is put into operation, you can start right from the get-go, right, to manage it well.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Dominic. Nisha, I would love to turn to you and hear a little bit about the QuadReal perspective on BOMA Best. QuadReal is one of our largest portfolios in the program. And so, Dominic touched a little bit on the investor perspective and the importance of accurate reporting and using BOMA Best as a tool for that. We know that BCI, one of APREA's members, is the investment arm of QuadReal. So it'd be great to hear how BOMA Best creates long-term value for investors on QuadReal's end.
Yeah, thank you, Joanna. Thank you, Dominic, for that very insightful conversation. So yeah, thank you again for that question also. So in terms of QuadReal, some of your guests may not be familiar with who QuadReal is. So we are a Canadian-based, well, Vancouver-based, global real estate investment management operating company. Our AUM is around 94 billion in assets under management. We've got about 15 offices globally across Canada, the US, Europe, and Asia Pacific as well. So we're fairly widespread. And in terms of our usage of BOMA Best, we've been working with the BOMA Canada team for, I've lost track of how many years it's been, but it's been a good time. And it's been a very long time, and we've certified over 300 buildings, which are in our Canadian portfolio. And I really appreciated the slide that you shared at the beginning with all the asset classes, because we fall into that category. So we have industrial, we have office, we have retail, and we have multifamily residential buildings. And we have not discriminated in terms of their age or their size or where they're located within Canada. We've certified all of them through that portfolio program. And a few of the reasons why we've pursued BOMA Best, specifically from the investor perspective, is really similar to what Dominic was mentioning. It allows us to give that assurance, that confidence to the investors that these buildings are managed in a very a specific way, and that ESG is part of not just ESG for the sake of ESG, but ESG as part of operations. It is the management approach for those individual buildings. So that's really important. BCI values sustainability. They have valued sustainability and supported those programs for decades now. At least 2 decades, I think. So it's something that really gives them comfort that these buildings are being managed in a responsible way. Another thing that I think sometimes gets overlooked with some green certifications is, as you mentioned, the market is changing, the economy is evolving. Green certifications in general are also, there's millions of them out there, it seems like. There's a new one every day. And what really helps with the value of that green certification is to provide a little bit of future proofing. So when we're trying to acquire or dispose of assets, having that green certification and specifically having BOMA Best helps to communicate to those future potential investors that this is a well-run building. So it really comes back to that benchmarking, the communication, the future proofing, all of those aspects of green certification and how they impact the management of the building.
Awesome. From the QuadReal perspective, what would you say is kind of the case for participating in BOMA Best?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned, we've got over 300 buildings across Canada. We're fully vertically integrated within the Canadian context. So we have property management teams on the ground across all of those assets. We also have a central sustainability team, which I lead. And so we've made the decision to actually pursue BOMA Best in-house through the portfolio program. And the way we do it is we centralize some of the management documentations that Dominic was referring to, because we know there are certain aspects of how we manage our buildings that is the same across all assets. And so we're able to take that off of the plate of property management teams so they don't have to figure out that paperwork, and also so that BOMA Canada doesn't have to look through 300 versions of the same policy or procedure. And then it just makes things really much more efficient. And the other really important thing that I would add is that it encourages, or doesn't really encourage, it requires our property teams to engage with sustainability at least on an annual basis. As they're going through the program and pursuing recertification, they are essentially forced to go through and see how they can make improvements, even small improvements, in terms of how they're managing their buildings.
That's awesome. It's been great, as QuadReal has been participating in the BOMA Best program for so long, to see how buildings have achieved higher levels of certification over time, and like you said, achieving some of those small wins, and over time larger improvements, which is great. Are there any particular buildings or asset classes that you would want to highlight in your portfolio that have reaped the benefits of participating in BOMA Best?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think, generally when people talk about green certifications, the first asset class that they tend to refer to is office, because that's where the people are looking. Tenants are very interested in how aligned is this building, this office building, with my goals and my values. Do I want to occupy space here? So I'm going to actually talk about a different asset class, which is the industrial asset class. And it's kind of a challenging one, because a lot of our industrial buildings are either single tenant or they're multi-tenant, and tenants are responsible for managing their spaces and how they occupy them. And what's been interesting over the years is we've started to have more engagement with our industrial property management teams. And when they initially started, they didn't really know how to approach it. They weren't really sure how the market would react to getting a BOMA certification. Would it matter? Is anyone even going to care? And I'm not sure if that's really changed so much in the industrial asset class today. It it depends on the market very much so. But that's not the reason why we're doing it. So it doesn't matter to us whether tenants are necessarily engaged or not. We're doing it because it's how we manage our buildings. But what's been interesting over the years is some of those property management teams in the industrial asset class have started to become a little bit more competitive. So through awards programs, or even just with, my building in Toronto and you've got a building in Calgary and I manage it better than you do, so I'm going to pursue a higher level of BOMA certification to prove it. So that's really created some fun within the teams and internally across that asset class, which I think is kind of cool because industrial is not necessarily one that pursues green certification, generally speaking.
That's awesome. That's really cool. And for sure, the industrial asset class is one of our larger asset classes in the program as well. So that's really great to hear. Awesome. So as we are nearing the end of our webinar today, we'd like to leave some time for questions. So I see some questions have been coming in through the chat box. And so I'll proceed with the first question, which is for me. So the question is, I saw in the BOMA website that there are 2 streams, BOMA Best Sustainable and BOMA Best Smart. What is the difference? So that is a great question. Today's webinar was focused on BOMA Best Sustainable. It is our oldest program. It's been around for over a decade, and we've gone through now 4 variations essentially of the standard. And at the moment, we're at version 4.1. About 2 years ago, we launched another stream or another program called BOMA Best Smart. And this was really a response to the need in the industry for a roadmap that is accessible, but addresses elements of smart buildings and smart operations. So that means properties using technology, data, automation to optimize performance, optimize tenant experience, and sustainability as well. So BOMA Best Smart is a program that at a high level, it covers smart technology and integration. So evaluating how building systems like HVAC, lighting, security, et cetera, are connected, automated, and how data is being collected and used to operate efficiently. Data and analytics, so assessing how buildings collect, manage, and use the data that they collect to drive decisions. A little bit about cybersecurity and privacy. Tenant experience, so looking at how smart features like different apps and access controls can enhance the occupant experience, as well as sustainability and efficiency. So smart operations, linking that to reducing water, energy usage, emissions, and environmental impact. So that's essentially what BOMA Best Smart is. Our next few questions are for Dominic. So regarding the Costco building, Dominic, that you had mentioned, that case study, the question is, have the sustainable outcomes of the project been effectively maintained from the date of certification until today? And how has the return on investment been reflected?
Very good question. Is it Mr. Lai, right? Mr. Lai? Yes. That's the key aspect of BOMA Best, because BOMA Best is about management process. Okay, so they actually build in, right, all these practices, best practices into the process. So they're actually doing it every day. So it is sustained on a continuous basis. Okay, and it's built into actually for Costco. They have even inserted the innovation part, right, encouraging not just stop at the current level, but also continuously look for ways to improve, right? A better way to save energy and water, and waste. So they actually written that, inserted onto the standard operating procedure of the building, okay? And this has been supported by the senior management, by the asset management group, supporting the property management group. So this whole process has aligned with, from the top down. This whole initiative actually was initiated by the chairman of the division, the real estate division. Mr. Zhao, right? So yes, this has been continuous. It's important to have the senior management support. This is, I think, doesn't matter, what kind of initiative you do. This is, it is a hard fact. Anything that you do, any organization, you must seek, especially ESG related, right? It has to start from the top. So this is important. If you get management support, usually it sticks. Okay, and the other one is how has the return on investment been reflected in tenant satisfaction? Yes, we have seen the third party tenant satisfaction. It has improved. I don't have the number on my tip of my head, but it has improved. And in terms of upgrading, all the upgrading that they do through our process of education, we actually help the team justify. Okay, we help the property management team to think like asset manager, if you like. Okay, so they learn how to speak in owner's term, right? In terms of investment, return on investment, NOI, asset value, and so on and so forth. So every step that they take, they learn to put together a business case, and this is through also through the BOMA Best process, right? Whereby they have to put together a 5 years capex plan, right? You have to justify why do you do that, all the capex, right? It has to be data driven, and these are some of the things that ties back to the smart building module, right? That which teaches buildings management how to capture data and how to justify the data. So once you have the data, you have the baseline, then you can calculate, right, your cost savings, right, and your potential return, right? So this is important, especially in today's tight financial situation. So it must be substantiated by justification, neither by a tenant recognizing the value or cost reduction, or else don't make a move. Right? It's, you can't find the money anyway. You can get approval. Okay, so that's the basis of Build My Best, helping member to sort through that. Okay, all right.
Awesome, thank you.
The
Thank
next
you.
question is, oh, it's fantastic presentation. Thank you. Thank you, Aaron. Hey, Aaron. Okay, Aaron, thank you for your question. It's an important green certified technology be used for maintenance of green. Yes, absolutely. In BOMA Best, we talk about green, which for instance, green cleaning, right? Green cleaning, part of the process is make sure that green cleaning involves, right, green product. We use recycled product or environmentally friendly product. So that BOMA Best would drive, right? Needs use of green certified technology and products. Okay. The lighting upgrade in Costco is a good example, right? Whereby it is motion sensitive, right? And also sensitive to the outside lighting. Okay, so we adjust accordingly to the outside lighting and the number of people in the room, so on and so forth. So these are so in other words, the Costco certification drove the need, right, for this lighting upgrade. Okay, or initiated the need for lighting upgrade, and we help them, or the BOMA Best program help them think through the process, whereby they actually calculate that they have savings, right? They got to pay back, I think, in 3 years for the upgrade. Okay, the payback is not bad, right? Payback in 3 years, about 33% return a year. Okay, so yes, it does drive green products, and for suppliers, green product suppliers, they should learn. They should learn about the BOMA Best program. They will find a lot of nuggets or business opportunity in there. Okay, you talk about the next one is maintenance, especially for cleaning of HVAC, cooling towers. Yes, these are all part of the, for instance, the IAQ program, right? The IAQ program would require filters and the filtration system being cleaned properly, using the right filtration, right, and using technology to monitor, right, the filtration, so on and so forth. These are all potentials, right, that brought out by BOMA Best, right? As of course, you have people checking filter is very labor intensive, but using technology, it helps, right, reduce that cost of minimum cost. So these are all potentials, yes, that BOMA Best would bring out, okay, and bring out these opportunities for vendors and suppliers.
Absolutely. As you mentioned, Dominic, green cleaning, green cleaning products, the use of that, having a green cleaning program is part of the BOMA Best questionnaire. It's not a mandatory question, but you can earn points for that if you have that in place within your building.
Yes, and also it drives consultant. I mean, and a lot of specialized consultants, specialists that members usually don't have them in house. Like for instance, IAQ specialists, right? Or energy audit, right? Level 3 Austric, right? These are very engineering intensive, technical intensive. So this will drive, right, the need to seek outside professional consultant helps. So if you're a professional consultant, there's your opportunity, right?
Awesome. I think we have time for one more question here. So the question is, can the framework take account of embodied emissions for buildings undergoing construction? So that's a great question. It is important to highlight that BOMA Best is tailored towards existing buildings and existing building operations. So one of the requirements for buildings participating in the program is that they are operational for at least a year in advance of earning their BOMA Best certification. So at this time, we don't account for embodied emissions related to construction. All right. I guess we have a little bit more time, so we can maybe take on one more question here. Do you agree that top-down planning is important in achieving SDG goals?
Is this for who?
Maybe I'll throw it to Nisha if you don't mind.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's key. That's one of the key requirements in order to get some of these, especially more cost intensive programs across the finish line, which may not be necessarily the case for a BOMA certification. However, if you're pursuing a higher level or there are some capital upgrades required, and if it's just one-off, you might be able to achieve it. But if you're trying to actually pursue a longer program and make some larger impacts, then yes, I think absolutely you need to have senior management support.
Awesome. Okay, I think that pretty much brings us to the end of our webinar. So thank you, Nisha and Dominic. Thank you as well, Sigrid and Benjamin, for all your participation in this webinar today. And thank you to all of our participants as well. This webinar is recorded, so you'll have access to it after. And feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. Maybe speakers, we can all leave our contact in the chat below. So if anyone has questions, they can reach out.
Well, thank you very much, everyone. It's a pleasure to meet everybody and share our experience. And I wish everybody a good afternoon, good night, and good morning, wherever you are.
Yeah, thanks everyone, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you all. See you in October in Singapore. Thank you so much, guys.